better? Has it improved? Can you guys hear me a little bit better out there? Is that working out a little better? Better. Yeah, have no idea what that was. Uh, so I just went in and turned everything off. That's usually the best way to solve those kinds of problems. Okay, well, I'll start all over again. We're only 2 minutes in, not a big deal, and I'm glad everybody's here. I was just saying thank you so much for joining me here at Sunday at Mike's. And this week I picked up this pedal right here. It's the Tiny Spring. Good afternoon, Anthony. Thank you so much for showing up. So yeah, the Tiny Spring from Tone City. And if you remember last Sunday on the last live, I was talking about how I really needed to come up with a concept for the week. And this came in the mail. I had forgotten that I had ordered it because over here on my pedal, I always have to have space for reverb. It's kind of part of my tone that I like to have on my pedal board or just in my recordings in general. And I'm fascinated with these mini reverb pedals. And I saw a shootout on Anderson's, which is the British, is that Anderson's, Alderson, something like that, the British guitar shop over in the UK. And they were doing a shootout on reverbs, particularly spring reverbs. And this is one of the pedals that they had covered, and they came to the conclusion that it was not really a spring reverb sound, but it was an interesting sound, a reverb sound in itself. So I thought yeah, hey Noodlin, you made it. Konnichiwa, Ohio gozaimasu. So for under $50, I figured, what the heck, we might as well give this a try. So this week's head-to-head is going to be between this and the Moore Shimverb, which is a spring reverb that I normally use. I'm trying to step up my game with my recording, so I'm trying to improve the graphics and do things of that nature to get more people engaged. So I think you'll enjoy what I did with the shootout with this pedal this week. So that's going to be the regular channel program that will be on tomorrow. Yeah, sometime tomorrow. What else is going on? So I had a thought. I went down to Fern's shop, and Fern is my luthier. He takes care of all my guitars. Hey, hello. Thank you for being here. And I got together with Fern and we were talking. I took the Epiphone Les Paul 59 down to him because I want to finish the wiring on it. Now, that guitar as it stands, as it comes from the factory, has a reasonable 50s style wiring job done to it. No complaints there with that. However, the quality of the wires and the pots and the caps, they could definitely stand for a little bit of improvement. It'll give you that little extra, again, that taper that I talk about that's important for controlling your amp volumes. If you just take a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra money, but it's worth it to get proper wiring put in. So Fern is putting in the fit. He did a little bit of the wiring and he did the caps already. He just has to do the leads, the grounding leads, the leads to the input jack, and one other, and that thing will be completely rewired and capped. Interesting enough, though, like I said, I took the burst buckers. Oh God, I hate that word. The burst buckers out and put those Epiphone pickups in it that came with the SG, and like I said, with that wiring job, any pickups that you put into there are really going to just shine. So it's something that I did, and in the course of doing that, we were talking about Gibsons in general. and he was curious as to know what my experience were with Gibson guitars, and I explained that I've owned four of them, and I of the four, so I had a 1993 Les Paul Classic. Now, the 1993 Les Paul Classics, this was right when the custom shop was being formed. There was a period between January and April. It was only a 3 to 4 month period where they were producing these Les Paul Classics that had the true ABR bridge, the post into the wood the way that it should be. All of the things that custom shop guitars now carry, but these were the beginning stages of that. And so, very rare Gibson to have. I hated it, and he asked me why, and I said because the neck was the thinnest neck that I've ever played on a guitar. It was ridiculous. Jimmy Page is famous for sanding down the neck on his guitars to get it really thin because he liked it that way. He would love this way. Even he probably would complain and say this neck was too thin. But I then went on to the other Les Paul Classics. I've had three, actually. Three Les Paul's Classics and one Les Paul Standard. The Gold Top Les Paul Standard P90s, I like that one. That had a lot of spank to it. It was a great guitar, but I didn't bond with it. The Les Paul Standard, the Standard 60s, which in the JPEG for this particular live stream you can see, that guitar was the one that I kind of bound. There was something about that one that we got along with each other. Let me just, you kind of bond with the guitar is what I'm trying to say. And so of those that I sold when I got here to get rid of my collection, that was the one that was the hard one to get rid of. The Les Paul Standard 60s, which was a 2021 model, and I had it at the same time that I had the Epiphone. You can see in past videos where I do a head-to-head of those two guitars, and I ended up keeping the Epiphone. So the title of this video tonight is, Do I Miss My Gibson? Or in this case, Do I Miss My Gibsons? And after now over the period of 18 months, I believe now, or a little bit less, a year and 6 months, year and a half, since I last owned a Gibson guitar, and went through the recording process of working on my album, I can honestly say that I do not miss them at all. And I cannot see myself really investing in buying another one. To be fair, I can't see myself at the moment investing in buying in any guitars because I'm so pleased with the ones that I have. I mean, you get to that point in your life, or at least I hope you do, or you will, where you recognize that you work with what you got. And so, and that being sort of the basic premise of this channel as well, I want to try to keep that going. So, in any case, I didn't really bond with any of those Gibsons with the exception of that Gold Top Les Paul Classic, which was a 96 that I got in Japan. But it had Classic 57 pickups. Which actually the 93 had Classic 57 pickups in it as well. So I was very familiar with those pickups. This Epiphone Les Paul 59, I've kind of bonded with it. I find myself be able to work with it. Certainly from the standpoint of recording, it sounds excellent. And I can't say that anybody would be going wrong with recording with an Epiphone. You know, growing up in the 80s and 90s, you were a lot of the guitar, shall we say, what was that, like, not street lore, But some of the things that are said about guitars that we know now that aren't true. Some of the myths regarding, urban legends, I guess is the word I'm searching for, sort of, about guitars came from that period. And one of them was that with Epiphones, the reason they sounded so dull is because of the thick poly coating that they put on those guitars. Whereas opposed with a Gibson with its cellulite topping, spray painting job on it. You guys know what I'm talking about. It does not have that tone muffling quality to it. And this was the general conception. If you asked me at the age of, 20, 22, 23, what I thought about Epiphones, I would have given you a litany of the usual, statements regarding them. Uh, they weren't well favored, and that was just how they got started. Now, just because they started that way doesn't mean that they have ended that way. They've actually come a long way. And again, going back to that tone thing with the poly versus the nitro, I told you pickups are 80% of the game with your guitar. And I just believe the Epiphone pickups that they were putting in those guitars now, much like the Roswells, much like the other cheaper pickups that you're finding in the new generation of budget brand, like Harley Benton's, things of that nature. I hear the same problem that I used to hear with the old Epiphone guitars with these guitars and their pickups is a certain muddiness to it. So that has to do with the magnets, that has to do with the wind, and Epiphone has really started to invest a lot of time in the development of their proprietary pickups that they use, which are copies of the Gibsons. But having the Gibson and having the R&D on those in your hand and saying, okay, we have to take this item and we have to produce this item at a lower cost, obviously, but we don't want to sacrifice the quality there. And with Gibson, of course, Epiphone is a Gibson company. With Gibson, obviously, in the light of that, willing to invest the money into that kind of reverse R&D, I guess, actually, in that case, we're talking about, has paid off because you're just hearing people now singing the praises of these Epiphones, and they're selling very well. Another one of the ones that you would hear out there is that Gibsons sell better. The resale value is better on Gibsons than they are on Epiphones. And these days, I'm not even going to say these days. To my knowledge and my personal experience, I sold one Epiphone, which was that TV yellow junior that I had that I just couldn't bond with. I have to bond with the guitar. If I don't like it, it's out. I got my money back for that and then some. The Gibsons, because it was like, but then that's not fair. I did sell that a crazy time. Pandemic, dealers were out of stock. They were willing to be a little more open, shall we say, to pricing that I could give to them and say that I thought it was a fair deal. Everybody could walk away happy. So yeah, I guess that's not fair. But to my experience, really, and from things that I've seen, Epiphones do hold their value. Gibsons, they're all over the place right now, and I'm not quite too sure if that is an issue of supply chain or if it's an issue of just inflation. Of course, that's a part of it. We know that. So yeah, I don't miss. The point of this is no, I do not miss my Gibsons whatsoever. I'm extremely happy with them. Uh, so much so, like I said, I use them. I'm editing my album as we speak right now, and I'm very pleased with the way that those guitars performed. And if there was any lack of sound or anything, it was out of a lack of my playing. It's just a lack of my ability. Other than that, quite honestly, Epiphones are fantastic guitars for recording. The SG, I didn't do anything to the wire of that. Yeah, I did swap the pickups with the 59, but that's just a pickup swap. I didn't do anything with the wiring, and that thing is a workhorse. It's a fantastic out of the box. Of course, we had the fret problems, we had the issues we discussed with it, but once those got settled, it's a fantastic guitar, and I just feel vindicated with that decision that I made. I didn't make that decision lightly. That day that you see me with my standard 60s Les Paul here and the Epiphone 59 there, I really was debating to which one to let go. I knew I had to let one of them go, uh, just from a financial standpoint. I could keep either one, which was cool. I wasn't forced to sell the more expensive one. I could make a decision, and the decision was based solely upon the sound and the feel of it. And I just came to the conclusion that that 59 had a lot more going for it than that standard 60s. I'd not say that it wasn't a beautiful, gorgeous guitar. The neck played a big part of that. I like the beefier neck on the 59. The standard 60s, again, where it wasn't as thin as the 93 Classic, it was in there. And I like a little bit of a beefier neck. Not 58 beefy, not like those Japanese Tokais, those Love Rocks, those things, man. It's like they took a baseball bat, sawed it in half, and painted it red and stuck it as a neck. I mean, it is the quintessential epitome of a baseball neck are those Love Rock guitars, the 58 copies. They are extremely dedicated to making sure that they get that correct. But yeah, so that's to sum all that up. Those are my thoughts after a year and a bit getting clean, getting clean of Gibsons. I'm not just being able to reflect upon it too, and that's not saying that those were bad guitars. They were great. I'm just saying that that point of of a return, diminishing returns always plays a big factor in all of this, and just from that alone, the Epiphone made a lot more sense. Um, so yeah, I really feel that if you're in the market out there, if you're watching this and you're on the fence about that, yeah, sure, the 59 kit is one of the pricier Epiphones. They're still holding their value. They have not lost their value. As a matter of fact, they're holding steady. They haven't gone up. They're getting kind of rare too to find as well. They sell out. It's one of the more pricier ones, about 750, 800, something, we're in that neighborhood. However, it is something to consider. That I can tell you from handling a lot of guitars and owning a lot of them and spending a lot of time getting to know them, that you would not be doing wrong with spending a little bit more money, a little less money than the Gibson, and a little bit more money on the Epiphone. Now, however, the Epiphone standard 50s, those are great guitars. Again, I'm not crazy about the veneer on the back, but even with that, I can let it go. Long neck tenon, fantastic neck on it, great Pobucker pickups on it, and if you get the gold top, then you really only have that veneer on the back. On the front of it, it's fine. And from everything that I'm reading, those are fantastic guitars. So that's in the 500, 550 range. So yeah, even there, with that one, I could say you'd be doing well as well. Save yourself money. I mean, we we are heading into all kinds of terror and catastrophe, boys and girls. Fasten your seatbelts. And if you can save a little bit money here or there, you may want to seriously consider it. It may be something that you want to do. All right. I would like to play you guys something. I want to play you a little bit of my album that I was just speaking of that I was recording. Uh, I have the 50s gold top and the 60s. Really, yeah. I really like that gold top. That gold top 50s is, yeah, great guitars. And like I said, so if you're out there and you here you've got another person chiming in telling you to seriously consider it, save yourself some money. The pickups are 80% of your game. The next percentage of your game is your wiring. The reason the wiring is important is, again, you want to be able to look forward to hearing you're going to hear it here in a second. Um, Again, just to reiterate that point for everybody, that you want to invest in that wiring. The outside things, changing the bridge or changing, the tuners, things like that. I don't think with those guitars you really need to. The standard hardware that they come with is fine. If you really want to perfect them and make them monster guitars, you don't even have to invest in pickups anymore because, again, like I said, those Epiphone pickups are pretty good. It's the wiring that you first want to invest in. Your pots, your caps, um, and your wiring, and just swap all. Just basically scrape it clean, and rewire with a little bit quiet, and you will be a happy camper. All right, guys, I want to play you a track from my album that I've completed. Ants in the Pantry is the name of the album. This is a song called Belly Dancer. I want to play it for you guys because I want to talk about the production on it a little bit. And because I haven't really gotten to that on this channel a lot about production things, and I think this would be a good time to start. And another good way to introduce you guys to what I've been up to and how this sounds. So I'm going to play this for you. I don't know how well this is going to come out. I've got it coming through my monitors here. So check it out. We'll listen to a little bit of it and see what you think. There we go. Now I'm back. I'm gonna stop it right there and talk about the production on this song. Now, this song was the first track that I started for this album. I actually recorded the initial rhythm tracks in Singapore, in my home studio in Singapore. I laid down a basic forward to the floor beat on my drum kit, and I thought it would be appropriate to talk about this song because the rhythm guitars that you're hearing. Thank you, thank you. The rhythm guitars that you're hearing on the right side, you're hearing that 1996 Les Paul Classic with the Classic 57s in it. On the left, you're hearing. Thank you. I'm going to play some more. On the left, you're hearing the P90 Les Paul Classic. The basic rhythm tracks I recorded miking my Laney with an SM57 and using running through the effects loop on the Laney using my 1973 Echoplex. So it's got the full treatment. So the drums and the basic track, like I said, I recorded those, and then that was it. I had to move here to finish it. The bass guitar that you're hearing in this is this Harley Benton bass guitar right behind you. So if anybody tells you that the Harley Benton bass guitars are no good, don't listen to them. And coming up here for the guitar solo, you're going to hear the Epiphone 59. So let's keep going. Epiphone 59. All right, so that's a belly dancer, pretty much. The string motif that you hear, I played that using, I don't, that wasn't Spitfire Audio. No, it was Spitfire Audio. It was their Middle Eastern string quartet, so they had the different string instruments, and I came up with that, played that line. So that's synthesized. I didn't use a lot of keyboards on this record, actually. This is actually one of the few songs where you'll hear any kind of keyboard like that. But anyway, so this song is kind of what this album came out to be, going flying between. Hey, my Mike, I heard about this. It sounds very cool. Go Mike on our show. Hey, Bob, glad to have you here. This album was really interesting because, like I said, the initial concept of it I started in Singapore over 2 years ago now. And it generally has been cooking in the back of my head. ever since. And this track, Belly Dancer, like I said, was the very first track that I recorded for that album. Just doing the rhythm tracks, laying down the drums, laying down the rhythm guitar parts, and that's as far as I got. When I got back to a state where here got this setup going and I could get back into it again, that's when I finished it. And I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. That's pretty much the vibe of this record. It's a rock album. So I told you I'm writing a rock album, and it's got that. The album has that 70s rock feel to it. 60s, a little bit of 60s run there too. Definitely old school rock sound to it, but I really like the way this one came out. I hope that you guys enjoyed it too. Now, production wise, like I said, I went very old school with this. To record the rhythm guitar tracks, again, like I said, my Laney, one of the reasons that I like that Laney Club 12, not the new one, but the first one that they came out with, is it has that effects loop. The effects loop comes after the preamp, between the preamp and the power amp. And when you run the Echoplex, that 73 Echoplex through that, and set it to a very slight echo, that and that FET lift that it gives you, very 70 progressive, yes. Exactly, Jesse. And that's the thing. I wanted to try to create that 70s sound as close to possible within the limitations of my recording environment. I couldn't be at Olympic Studios. I couldn't go to Abbey Roads. Couldn't go to the record plant. Couldn't even go to Sunset Sound. Although I did grunt work up there. I ran equipment up there when I was a PA. But I wanted to try to recreate that, so I used again the Echoplex, a very Jimmy Page type of thing to do, a very Eddie Van Halen type of thing to do. And I think I got good results, especially in those rhythm guitars on the left and right. I played it one time through here, and then I played it again. Doubling. I don't like to do. I feel that you're told a lot in studios that you should double your tracks, triple your tracks, whatever. I used to do that as well, but I'm starting to find out that it actually, when you do that, it really kind of compresses your sound. I don't, I'm no longer a fan of how that sounds. I think if you're going to do that, old school way is actually just one guitar. Uh, and then you depend upon where you want to put it in the box, as I call it, your stereo box, left, right, front, back, up and down. Uh, or play the same part on another guitar, a different guitar. So humbuckers, P90s to the left and right, to mix it up a little bit. You don't have, and it wasn't a goal of playing it exactly either. It was almost if you, it was the concept was two rhythm guitar players playing up against each other. Wrap your beauty, wedding go well. To see you dancing, you're more to behold. So you see, they almost sound like it's one guitar playing, but it's actually two playing. And I alter the rhythm a little bit over here every now and then, or I'll play a different part over here just to emphasize that. And that's to give it that stereo spread. And it sounds big, but it's only two guitars. It has a big sound to it, but so it's not a matter of doubling, tripling, doing things like that. I'm not a strong believer in that. Stereo separation is where it's at, and how you record those guitars as well. And just a beautifully recorded, there's no process. This is exactly how it sounds with the Laney SM57. Of course, EQing, but very little changes. That's just how it is, the raw sound, and you get a beautiful tone if you work it like that. The bass guitar, like I said, is this jazz bass behind me from Harley Benton. I can't tell the difference between it and my Fender Jazz that I used to have, to be frank with you. There's the bass in this is not very moving anyway in the song. It's there in order to give the listener, something hypnotic to focus on. The guitar solo was recorded using this pedal board here. And I used the Joyo California sound and the Blues Breaker to record that, to get that the guitar solo sound. Everybody talks about expensive pedal. Yeah, the Blues Breaker, I give it to you. That is a costly pedal. But the Joyo, the California sound here, which is a Mesa Boogie copy, Mesa Boogie Part Mark IV copy, is a less than $20 pedal, and it's including shipping. And that's how it sounded. That guitar solo, let me see, can I find it? Play a little bit of it again. Maybe, is it here? So that tone, that sound, is the California sound and the Blues Breaker going through the Cab Zeus. I believed I used a Vintage 30 cabinet on that. And again, using the burst buckers were still in the Epiphone at the time, so the pickups are Gibsons. I used a bridge position on that. So a very good sound for now. I mean, again, that's a very cheap pedal. I think that sounds great. I don't know how you guys feel. I hope you like it. But yeah, so the recording process was thinking in terms of how to record an album if I was back in the 70s. It's not an original thought. There are a lot of guys who have taken that approach. The Black Keys took that approach with one of their albums, just going in and using just old equipment in order to recreate that. I couldn't do that exactly, but I could get some vintage equipment. Certainly with the speaker that I was using in the Laney, which is a greenback, a vintage greenback from 72, 73. So that contributed to that sound as well. So you had a little bit of the component there. You had the marshalliness of the Laney. You had the boost of the Echoplex, a real Echoplex going in there, miking with an SM57. So that was the basic premise for the entire album, actually. All the tracks that you see here, I recorded it with the mindset of how would they do this back in the day. There's actually a ballad on this, but it's a good one. It's not a boring one. That also I worked on in Singapore initially as well. The piano part. I went over to a neighbor's house and said, "Do you mind if I set up my mics in?" Because they had some nice pianos in some of those houses. Oh, it sounds great. Tons of espresso pedals, and yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, a cheap pedal will get you there, man. It's not the price; it's the the quality of the sound of the pedal. But I mic'd a neighbor's piano and I played that. I have two Boss J's, which are great too. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that it had to be I got as close as I could, is what I'm trying to say. And as you guys can see, this is what I have to work with. I don't have that large studio that I had in Singapore. However, this song greatly benefits from me recording those initial guitar parts in that huge room, because that also, I used two mics. I'm sorry, SM57 close up at an angle, So here's the speaker. I didn't have it facing towards the speaker. I actually had it at an angle to the speaker, and then I had a room mic. So yeah, I'm sorry, two microphones recording those guitar parts. But yeah, it was again a thought process of the album. I want to make a 70s, late 60s, early 70s, 70-ish sounding record. And so I began to put the pieces together in order to try to make that happen. And this song is just to give you guys an idea of how that worked out. I don't know if you like it or not. I hope you do, because I have a whole album full of it. A lot of work, a lot of work. But I think, honestly, again, it came in a little late. Listen to all the rerun, guys. Just when this live stream is over, just go back and listen to all the rerun. Please do, please. Please, I appreciate it too if you do so. Yeah, again, that was the thought process of this album, Ants in the Pantry, was to do that. Certainly, songwriting for me, songs are very intimate things because I don't write anything that's theoretical. I have to write things that are real life. This song that you just heard, Belly Dancer, actually has a real life a story behind it. But that part of it, I pretty much got. I'm a pretty okay songwriter. I've gotten to that point right now. I feel confident with that. It's the production end of it that fascinates me, and every album I try to approach it a little bit differently. And this was my quote unquote rock album, 70s rock album. I thought a lot about Queen a lot. I thought a lot about AC/DC, of course. Jethro Tull, I thought a lot about. I thought about early Bowie a lot. There's a lot of things that I was thinking about and listening to when I put this one together. So anyway, enough about that. Just a few production notes where I was coming from with this album. I've been talking about it for a while now. I'll play you guys some more of it at another date. 44 minutes in. Guys, I'm not even going to lie to you. I am completely knackered. I've been working all week. It's one of the reasons why I didn't have a content show, my weekly content show that I always do. Well, I didn't have one last Monday because this was just June always sucks for me. June it never, and it's my birthday month too on top of all of that. I hate that. But every June is always a disaster. I can't figure. So much so that I think one of the reasons is I calendar out what I'm going to do next. I try to think 3 or 4 shows ahead for the YouTube content. The live shows, I kind of think of that what I feel is a good topic to talk about because live is more fresh, more instantaneous in terms of the topics that you can discuss. The static stuff with the weekly shows, I usually map those out. And I looked at my calendar after the last live stream and what is this week's? And I noticed I didn't have anything and I knew it because in my mind I knew that last week of June was just going to be its usual super suckiness. And it turned out pretty much what it be. Everything that could have gone south went south. My dog Hoshi, poor sweet thing. You guys have seen her on the show. My dog went in to get a health check, and they told me that she needed to have 4 teeth removed. Now, she's just a 10-year-old dog, Shiba Inu. She's Japanese. I got her in Japan. She traveled the whole world with me. Everywhere I've gone, she's gone. And when I went to the hospital to take her there and drop her off, they said, when they called me back up after I dropped her off and said it's going to be 6. I was like, oh my God, poor thing, and my poor wallet. But she's doing fine. Just a series of unfortunate events is the way I sum up my usual June, and this one was not a disappointment at all. So I'm glad it's done. For you guys in the States that are celebrating the 4th of July, you have yourselves a good 4th of July. Have one for me. There's no such thing in Amsterdam. Although there is a guy down the street, an American expat, who has a shop that sells Southern food pretty doggone good. Biscuit Baby is the name of it here in Amsterdam. Great food. So I might indulge myself in a little bit of Chris is his name, the owner of Chris is Cooking. Wherever you guys are, whether you're celebrating or you're going to work tomorrow, please be safe. I want to see each and every one of you back here next Sunday when we talk again. Until that time, just God bless and keep on going, man. It's the best we can do in these circumstances. But at least for some of us, tomorrow you'll be able to, enjoy a little bit of time with your family and friends. So please do that. And you guys take care until the next one. Bye bye.